Hey guys, Funny Guy Tim here again for another voiceover day. Did you notice my little makeshift pop filter for my Apogee mic? It literally is just pantyhose and coat hanger. It's like that kind of stuff. I twisted it around in a way that it would fit, and then I just put on pantyhose on it. It's double layer pantyhose, so it gives me a little bit of that. The problem is because I couldn't get a pop filter small enough for this mic that would make it portable enough. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to show you guys that. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about is the importance impressions have in doing voiceover. Now, there's a lot of young people that can do a lot of impressions, and they think that that's important for doing voiceover. And yes and no. Do you have to do impressions in order to be a voice actor? No. Does doing great impressions make you a voice actor or give you a leg up or an advantage in voice acting? Not necessarily. Voice acting, I mean, there's so many different things that you can do in voice acting. There's commercial work, there's radio imaging, there's narration, there's phone messaging. Then, of course, there is cartoon, there is video game, there's just animation, there's corporate work. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that, in order to be a voice actor, you have to do impressions. It gives me an advantage. I can say that. I can say that it gives me an advantage. Mostly because most of the stuff that I do get paid to do is more in the realms of cartoons and stuff for YouTube and video games. That's most of the stuff that I do. But I also do phone messaging and stuff like that. So for me, because of the voice acting that I do, it helps. Is it necessarily? Not necessarily. Is it necessary? Not necessarily. There we go. That's how that was supposed to be said. Here's one way that it helps. There's a game coming up. It was called. It's going to be released, I think, next month. I'll be posting a lot about it when it comes out. I'll be freaking out because it's great. The Deadly Tower of Monsters, I believe that is. The Deadly Tower of Monsters. I voice a villain in it. And I was reading the script, and they wanted this kind of mad scientist kind of character, kind of like the old black and white monster movie kind of scientist or cartoons or whatever, like the over-the-top villain. And the time period that they were going for, what came to my mind was Peter Lorre, this kind of short, he had a thick accent. Yes, but master, yes, like kind of that kind of Igor type, or that's. So I did kind of that, but then I made it more like Adolf Hitler-ish. So I combined two kind of impressions together to make up this voice. Now that happens a lot. A lot of cartoon characters, especially like The Simpsons or Family Guy or stuff like that, they are amalgamation of different impressions. So yeah, it's true. Also impressions give you a lot of range. If you can do like you can do like an Optimus Prime and then an Alvin the Chipmunks, or a Barry White and like a female singing voice, you're practicing range. So it does give you a lot of flexibility. But it comes down more to, I would say more than anything, more than the impressions, comes down more to your understanding of characters and your skills as an actor, more than anything. Both commercial work and character voices. It's the same. It comes down to acting. There was a couple things that, like Cartoon Hooligans. I voice quite a few characters in Cartoon Hooligans. And I don't really, I was approached for it, and I don't really do, I had never done Dragon Ball Z characters before. I had never done Dragon Ball Z impressions before. But they came to me and they said, can you do Goku? Can you do Vegeta? And can you do, they just named a whole bunch of them. And I had never even tried. So I went and I looked up all the different guys who had done the voices over the years. And there was quite a few. I didn't try to do an impression of one guy, because depending on where you are in the world, you have a different, or where you grew up, you have a different idea as to who does those characters, who does the voice. So I wasn't really trying to do one of those guys. I just tried to understand how they did it, their interpretation of the character himself, and then just try to make something that sounds like you go, oh, okay, yeah, that totally belongs with that face. That voice totally belongs with that face and that character's persona. So that's more of what I was going for, especially when it comes to Goku. Because when it was Goku, it was really just my voice. I did kind of the kind of typical superhero, my kind of Captain America, Superman voice, which is kind of the macho, yet at the same time very innocent, very all-American kind of voice. I don't know if that makes any sense. But that was more of what I went for, more than an impression. And so that's the kind of stuff that I think. Impressions are good. They help. They can probably give you some practice and some range, but don't focus too much on them. Here's a great example. If there was an audition for a Joker, and someone said, hey, they want the Joker, someone who's just does impressions would probably either do Heath Ledger or Mark Hamill's Joker. And they would more than likely not get the role, because the people that are hiring are not looking for that person's voice. If they wanted Mark Hamill's voice, Mark Hamill's take on the Joker, they would go to Mark Hamill. And you doing it is basically, you're actually infringing on copyrights of the voice that he created. That voice belongs to him. So you can't do that one. You have to make your own voice, your interpretation of the Joker. What would it sound like? Now, I have my own idea of, if I was to do the Joker, what he'd sound like. And it doesn't really sound like the Mark Hamill. It doesn't really sound like the Heath Ledger. It's more my take on it. So it comes down more to acting than impressions. Impressions help, but don't focus too much on the impressions. Know the character and know, your take on it. Learn your take on it. Sorry that this video was long. I hope this was entertaining. I hope you learned something. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.